It has been an absolutely crazy week on the Xbox front. Starfield is the number one bestseller. Pete Hines is going on a tour. Halo Infinite is making a comeback. Phil Spencer is doing a tour since the Activision Blizzard deal closed. Is Xbox finally hitting their stride? Maybe. Let's talk about what's happened right now. The big story I want to start with, and there's a lot to get into. There's what's PlayStation going to do after the Activision Blizzard deal. But let's talk about these Starfield sales figures, because Starfield is the number one best-selling game for September 2023. This is full game digital from the PlayStation, Nintendo Shop, PlayStation, Steam, and Xbox platforms for publishers, and physical sales. And number one is Starfield. And it seems like number one by a significant amount. Let's read what Matt Piscatella says, because he says that Starfield was the best-selling game of September, instantly becoming the 7th best-selling game of 2023 year-to-date. Starfield ranked as the best-selling title of the month across both Xbox and PC, with PC being its lead sales platform. Mortal Kombat 1 debuted as the second best-selling game of September and the 8th best-selling game of 2023 year-to-date. Mortal Kombat 1 was the best-selling game of the month on PlayStation platforms, placed second on both Xbox and PC, and ranked third on Nintendo Switch. Why is this important? It is important because everybody has been telling us for so long that Game Pass is this terrible thing that cannibalizes game sales. Nobody will buy your game if it's on Game Pass. Here comes Starfield, boom, number one. Not just number one, the 7th best-selling game of the year for everything. That's nuts. There have been some tremendously successful games released this year. You know, PlayStation has Spider-Man 2 this month. I imagine that's going to be a very big seller on the October sales list. If not October, then November, because it's coming out in the later half of the month. But what a massive win for Xbox. And in addition to all that, if that's not enough, here is another interesting tidbit. Halo Infinite also seems to be doing quite well. If you take a look at Steam charts, this is over the last year. You see this massive spike? This is when Season 5 drops. Season 5 added 2 new maps. It changed how XP gains are unlocking. It gave you incentives to continue unlocking XP and hit max rank in the multiplayer portion. You can actually unlock the Master Chief armor for fun and PvP. And don't forget, Halo Infinite's completely free, by the way, for multiplayer. You can just download it and start playing. So its all-time peak was 256,619, but this is pretty significant. This is their biggest success over the last year. Let's look at all-time. So you can see it launched really, really strong back in 2021. And then by January, it was at about 31. And then February, 15,000. So if you look since February, like it's dominating the numbers it was doing just a few months after launch. And it seems like it's maintaining right now at the beginning of the season. That is a significant increase in popularity. Also taking a look at Starfield, you can see that Starfield's doing quite well. It had an all-time peak of 330,597, and its attrition rate seems to be somewhat reasonable. Hopefully players are still having fun with it, or maybe we'll see what ends up happening in the long term with Starfield. But regardless of how you feel about it, I feel like the longer that you play Starfield, maybe the enthusiasm wanes a little bit. But for the most part, most people seem to be enjoying it quite a bit. What else did I want to talk about? So the Activision Blizzard deal closed. We need to talk about this because GameIndustry.biz has a fascinating article up about what is next after the merger and how is it going to affect the rest of the industry. I've highlighted a few of the more interesting talking points. At the risk of hyperbole, I believe we will see a significantly changed video game industry once the two companies are fully integrated, Canton Games CEO Dr. Serkan Toto tells GameIndustry.biz. In the US, we only have 2 big publicly traded video game studios left, and even those have been perpetual acquisitions acquisition targets for several years now, although I personally hope that they stay independent as long as possible. We're going to talk about this article, but I want to talk about Doug Bowser's reaction to all this for a second. It was really interesting to read that he basically had the exact same reaction that I did. And actually, Everborn Saga sent me this piece. It's an inverse article with Doug Bowser. Let me just bring it up. I just Googled the word search for the word consolidation. As far as consolidation in the industry goes, I've been a part of this industry for 16 plus years now. One thing that's been constant is the acquisition of studios. But the other constant is the fact that new studios are popping up every single year. Incredibly creative studios are making content from indie size to AAA sized games. So as consolidation happens on an equal basis, we're seeing these new studios, which really just speaks to the dynamic nature of the industry overall. In the end, that bodes well for the player. And that's what it's all about. Like, everybody's talking about how this is bad, and I just don't get it. Because here's Doug Bowser and Nintendo just saying, yeah, I mean, industry's done this for years. This isn't new. PlayStation acquires companies all the time. Xbox has been acquiring bigger companies, and it's really rattling cages for a lot of people. They're kind of like, oh no, like this is going to change the industry. But the industry is constantly changing. Bars are being raised, places are being acquired, and what's going to happen is these companies are going to consolidate, and then they'll be the new EAs, because back in the day, EA was like the big one, right? Well, now it's Microsoft right now, and now it's PlayStation and Nintendo. Those are still the big three. It's just going to happen. No matter what would have happened with the industry, it was bound to happen. And I hope we see a sweeping change in the industry, because I think it's needed it for a long time. We're stuck at a time right now where games are so focused on monetization strategies. If Xbox can come in and shake the heck out of the industry so that we get back to just making good games without these crazy monetization practices that honestly impact games in a negative way, I'm going to be tremendously happy. I hope they're outlawed. Honestly, I hope Congress looks at it and that they're not allowed to use these monetization structures anymore, because it's absolutely ridiculous. All the cool armor in Diablo 4, and I keep coming back to Diablo 4 because I play a lot, all that cool armor and stuff should be a reward for completing hard stuff in the game. And it's not, because they can sell it to you for 1/3 the price of the whole game. It's insane. Oh, but you can't just buy it directly, by the way. You can't just buy it directly for that price. You probably have to get 2 bundles, because they also price the bundles to get you another way into their in-game conversion. But everybody knows how I feel about that at this point. Others are more optimistic. Media Research's senior game analyst, Carol Severin, believes this could be Microsoft's big bang moment in games, adding that the deal will boost not only Microsoft's gaming revenues, but also benefits consumers. Although he notes it will make things tougher for publishers and developers who aren't Activision in the mid to long term. I'm not sure about the last part, but it does seem like a big bang moment for sure. Next one is going to be from Emily Avera from IDG Consulting, who says Phil Spencer's vision has consistently been about transforming Xbox from a console-centric brand to a content-first platform. Content first, doesn't that sound great? Emphasizing player engagement over console sales. I do worry about emphasizing player engagement, but I think she means with Game Pass. Anyway, she explains, in a 2019 interview, he articulated that the business isn't how many consoles you sell. The business is how many players are playing the games that they buy and how they play. The philosophy of self-disruption and ripping up the old playbook is even more pertinent post-acquisition, reinforcing the strategy to build a robust portfolio of games and IPs. The business is no longer about the box itself, which is especially relevant in countries where consoles may never become a viable platform. It's exactly what it's so crazy to see that all these analysts are just saying what I've been saying on this YouTube channel. Mobile's going to disrupt the industry. Cloud's going to disrupt the industry. All these people online who are so focused on the box is so old school. It's old tech. It's something we've been doing since the inception of video games. I remember back in the day when Nintendo and Sega were going head to head, talking about who has the best platform. Well, in the future, it's not going to be about that at all. You know what it's going to be about? It's going to be about who has the better content library. Xbox has a lot of work to do in that respect. I admit that. But this year, seeing how well Starfield's doing, I'm having a ton of fun in Forza Motorsport. Granted, it does need a bit of work in some areas, but I cannot stop playing that game. I'm still playing a ton of Halo, and it's great to see them continue to invest that time and effort into Halo and expanding their games library. Let's continue on. Harding Rolls notes that bringing King into the fold is a great foundation for Microsoft's future mobile games business, although he believes it will be more relevant to Game Pass than the oft-discussed expectation that Microsoft will launch its own mobile app store. I do think that Xbox will launch its own mobile store further down the line, maybe not right away, but really they just want people to play their games. So if you want to play it via the cloud on your mobile device or natively on your mobile device, by the way, everybody pokes fun at me because I talk about how important the iPhone 15 is. The reason it's important is because you're going to be able to play games like Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil Village on your phone. And if you don't see how that's significant, how having an install base that's twice the size of what PlayStation managed to do in several years on your phone, then I don't think you're paying attention to the direction of the industry. King makes more money than Call of Duty. Like, King prints money for Activision Blizzard, and now that is a part of Microsoft's portfolio. Granted, I think Call of Duty still makes a little bit more, but you got to realize there's a huge growth opportunity in mobile. That's why PlayStation's building out a whole branch for mobile. That's why Xbox has been so focused on it. They're not blowing smoke. Mobile is a huge revenue opportunity. Growing Game Pass, Amita notes that PlayStation Plus is actually ahead with an estimated 50.1 million subscribers in 2023 compared to 41.7 million on Xbox if you factor in users on Game Pass Core, formerly Xbox Live Gold, but it adds that Xbox Game Pass is ahead of PlayStation Plus in regards to the tier mix and pricing structure. I'm a little unsure of what they're saying about those total numbers, 41.7 versus 50.1, because what PlayStation did and what Xbox is working on doing is PlayStation basically converted everybody who already had PlayStation Plus into their new subscriber tiers. So you just sort of become part of their equivalent of Game Pass, right? And Xbox Game Pass was Xbox Game Pass. They had like 30 million just subscribers to like Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate, and now they're saying 41.7. Okay, that's fine, but they still have a good growth trajectory for that platform. Now, Harding Rolls had another comment here, and this is important. Speaking of PlayStation, there is speculation as to whether the completion of this deal will compel Sony to reach in some way. Severin believes the platform holder has an opportunity to go beyond anything Microsoft is building. While Xbox's future is a cross-platform ecosystem, Sony's operations in film, TV, music, and games mean it could create cross-entertainment proposition. That's a really good point, actually. Let's get to that in a second. Sony has one of the most impressive content catalogs on Earth. I agree with that. Severin explains, bringing it together in a subscription offering, for example, could pose a solid competitive answer to Xbox's cross-platform efforts. It will be increasingly difficult to compete with Microsoft on games only. The only response for Sony on the games only side would be buying something really big like Take-Two, but that is unlikely. PlayStation has less capital to invest in a major acquisition like that than Xbox does, period. It would have to be some sort of other deal. Now, the reason I want to talk about why it is important to note what PlayStation has at their disposal, you see this list of best-selling games. What's number 17 down there? It's Gran Turismo 7. Do you want to know why it's Gran Turismo 7? Probably because a little bit of the hype behind Forza is driving sales, but also there was a very successful Gran Turismo 7 movie that was just released, and that drives game sales. Just like when The Last of Us HBO television show came out, game sales for The Last of Us went up. It is really part of the virtuous cycle or whatever Jim Ryan used to call it back in the day. Jim Ryan, by the way, imminently going to be out at PlayStation. We all know that he's about to retire, and that will definitely shake things up at PlayStation. It's going to be interesting to see how they continue from this point forward. Harding Rolls predicts Sony will remain active in M&A, but will retain its strong position in the current console generation. Well, Toto expects the company to maintain its current product strategy of focusing on $70 blockbusters. I think that would be bad, by the way. Here's what Harding Rolls says. Sony surely is under pressure to react even after their Bungie acquisition, he says. I expect further investments and acquisitions for PlayStation, including a large one that would move the needle for them in a meaningful way. I don't think so. I don't think Sony's out there looking to buy somebody big. If they were, it would be Square Enix. That would make the most sense. That's who most people point to. A lot of people keep talking about Sega and how maybe Xbox is going to buy it, maybe PlayStation is going to buy it. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it would be Square Enix. And I think that would be a notable purchase for them. And I think they can afford it, believe it or not. Like, we're talking about billions of dollars here, but it's not $70 billion. And I do think that they could swing that. Here's somebody else reacting to it. We're in a strange time in games as previous consolidators such as Embracer are thinking about divestitures, and prior acquisitive strategics like Electronic Arts are now more likely to be acquired than to do the acquiring themselves, says Avera. That's exactly what I'm talking about, though. The industry comes full circle. EA used to be acquiring everybody. They acquire BioWare, they acquire all this stuff. We already went through this before. EA acquiring BioWare was a huge story back in the day. And now EA is looking to be purchased. Like, that's just what happens. Companies get older. Maybe they don't want to continue down the path that they're on and they're looking to get acquired. I don't know that there are reasons behind it. Activision clearly wanted to get out of the game. Maybe Bobby Kotick just wanted to get out with all the controversy. And yeah, by the way, he's out. I was wrong about that, but that seems like good news, right? Anyway, yet the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal demonstrates that other major AAA strategics. I've never heard it phrased that way. Anyway, demonstrates that other major AAA strategics could also be on the M&A table, including EA, Take-Two, and Ubisoft. Well, we'll see. As for the rest of the industry, Omedias, I'm not even going to try that last name, says the merger tilts the balance of power significantly in Microsoft's favor, giving the Xbox firm a big opportunity to dictate the future of the games industry. My rather optimistic view is that the deal will make Xbox more competitive in the AAA space than ever before, which will lead to heightened competition overall, resulting in increased efforts from other platform holders and leading game publishers. Yes! That's what we want. We want people coming with their best thing for the consumers that they possibly can so that you get a better deal at the end of the day. That's what I am all about. Better things for the customer, not for the company, right? Granted, sometimes it works out in everybody's favor, like Bobby Kotick getting the heck out of there, being able to unionize in the Activision Blizzard King groups, being able to make your own destiny, so to speak, or at least have better working conditions than you were under previously. And yes, a lot of people bring up the concerns, but here's what they continue on saying. Having said that, Microsoft's success is not guaranteed, especially as its track record with acquisitions has been a mixed bag. This year's two key game launches, Redfall and Starfield, have been met with mixed reactions at best. However, with globally popular game franchises such as Call of Duty now under its wing, the company is strategically much better positioned than ever before. Whoops, wrong button. They absolutely are. And I think they're going to utilize that and do very well with what they have managed to acquire. Let's see what else I got here. There's a few more stories I wanted to get to. We definitely have to talk about the acquisition. I mean, here's the quote I have from Rod Ferguson. We also have the Pete Hines story. So we need to talk about Pete Hines leaving. After 24 years, I have decided that my time at Bethesda Softworks has come to an end. I'm retiring and will begin an exciting new chapter of my life, exploring interests and passions, donating my time where I can, and taking more time to enjoy life. This was not a decision I came to easily or quickly, but after an amazing career culminating in the incredible launch of Starfield, it feels like the time is right. This is certainly not goodbye by any means. My love of Bethesda and its people has never wavered, and I will never stop being part of this incredible community we have grown. Thank you to the hundreds and thousands of fans I've gotten to meet and talk to over the last 24 years. Your energy, creativity, and support has been such a big part of my journey. I look forward to experiencing the next part of the adventure alongside you. Working with the amazing people, teams, and studios at Bethesda has been the greatest experience of my life. I'm incredibly proud of everything we have done together, and I'm genuinely excited to see the amazing things they will create next. Love you guys, Pete. You know, it's really interesting to see all these people looking to retire. I have to imagine Phil Spencer is going to retire in the next few years. I believe they're setting up Sarah Bond to be the successor. That sounds great to me. Sarah Bond's cool. We'll see how that all shakes out. But like Jim Ryan's retired, Pete Hines is retired, Larry Herb is retired, Bobby Kotick's retiring. Like, people are just at that time where they're ready to get out. And the industry is actually in quite a tumultuous time. The monetization strategies have kind of poisoned the well. People are looking for these massive returns. They're making their games too big because retention analytics are pushing them towards that direction. And then the monetization strategies are forcing them to do all these weird things. I was watching a video the other day. I don't remember who it was from, but basically they pointed out that Elden Ring, as well as it did, is nothing compared to FIFA, which makes, with their microtransactions, just as much money as Elden Ring made in its lifetime sales in the first year. And they do it every single year. They made like $1.4 billion or something. I hate it. I don't like it. But when you're an investor or you're a publisher and you're looking at these kind of numbers, of course you want to make a huge return like that. And that's why we're going more and more in that direction. And honestly, it's going to poison the well. And we keep seeing how it has. It's very, very problematic. I'm very hopeful that a game like Assassin's Creed Mirage, which just came out, very successful, a cheaper price point, lots of fans are talking about how much they enjoy it and that return to form. I hope that paints a picture for Ubisoft that says you don't have to go the way the rest of the industry is going. You can do your own thing and still be successful. Bethesda responded to Pete Hines saying, "To whom it may concern, please excuse Pete Hines from work after devoting so much of his time, love, and care to Bethesda. We are prescribing him ongoing treatment in the form of the following: lots of gaming, devoting care and affection to foster pups, and keeping a few, card collecting in all forms, MLS, US Magic the Gathering, I don't know, having fun with friends in the community, and of course, more games." Signed, Bethesda. That was really nice. And Phil Spencer also gave him a fond farewell, quote tweeting and saying the following: "Wishing Pete Hines all the best in his well-deserved retirement after 24 years of being at the heart of Bethesda and its family of studios. Thank you, Pete." It's a nice way to send Pete off. And I think it's awesome that everybody sort of celebrated not only the acquisition, people who are working in Activision seem very, very happy about that outcome. Pete Hines seems like he's ready to retire. Doesn't seem like there's much animosity there. Beyond what we saw in the court documents, of course. Maybe there's more going on than I'm reading into, but those are all the big stories. It's going to be interesting with this channel what I do next. I have a lot of like one-offs, but I might start putting more work into the videos to do like op-ed style videos as opposed to doing like news style videos, because the news cycle is going to slow to a crawl for the rest of the year, right? Because we're out of all the big releases. I'm playing, yeah, by the way, if you want to know what I've been doing, I've been playing the heck out of Forza Motorsport. I have been playing tons of Halo Infinite because Season 5 is great. I'm having a blast with Season 5. I had to finish out my Season 4 Battle Pass so I could start on the Season 5 Battle Pass and get caught up. I was like level 66 in Season 4, and now I'm level 100 in Season 4 and level 2 in Season 5, to give you an idea of how much I played. I played like 10 hours of Halo, some insane amount for a dad with 2 kids. Forza Motorsport, same story. I just got the lap achievement. But anyway, I'm losing track of things. You want to hear about the news. That's all the Xbox news for this week. I didn't mean to make a 24-minute video, but it's Saturday. I haven't posted all week. I have a lot to catch up on. I'll keep working at giving you more regular updates. I apologize for taking a week off to do a lot of video gaming. And I have a lot of games to catch up for the year. It's been a lot of fun just playing again, though, honestly. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you like my videos, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. What a week for Xbox. Congratulations to that team for how well Starfield's doing. Congrats to Sony on the Spider-Man release. Congrats to Nintendo on the Mario release. Like, what a year for video games. Thank you so much to the members for supporting this channel. I really appreciate all of you. I should probably update this. If you want to join, support this channel, support me making content like this, hit that join button. I'm going to get out of here. Check out my previous video where I just talked about how the Activision deal closed. If you haven't read it yet or seen it yet, I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.